In retrospect, what happened at the board meeting where I agreed to resign, Lars and Ben laid out, they sort of said, look, we want you to stay around. We want you to stay on the board. We want you to continue to run product at the company. We want David to step in as CEO, and we want to keep David as CEO for 6 to 12 months. And then we're going to bring you back as CEO. And I had this sort of bad experience at my previous company where I had kind of stayed around for a while, like after I had been sort of demoted. And, I sort of told him, look, I'm like, I think clean breaks are the best thing here. So if you guys want me out, I'm out. Lars turned to me and said, well, what are you going to do? What's your kind of next step here? And I said, well, I think I'll start another company. That was not a popular answer. And Lars sort of said, look, you don't have it in you. I don't think that there's any way you're not going to start another company. And I think that, they were worried about me competing with Zenefits or doing something. There was an enormous, over the next year, there were just enormous efforts from the company to try and get me into an enforceable non-compete agreement.
Pretty tough in California.
So non-competes are not enforceable in California, except there are some exceptions. And one exception is if they are signed in connection with a stock sale transaction.
Right.
And so the effort was always to arrange some kind of stock transaction that could be paired with a non-compete that then would be enforceable. And there were, some really extreme efforts here. At one point, so first, I actually didn't intend to start another company in this space at first. And then what happened is it became clear to me that David, in my view, David was not trying to make Zenefits work. He was sort of the company's chief prosecutor in the media. He fired all the wrong people. He promoted all the wrong people. He canceled all the wrong projects. It was, and so what it looked like to me was David's, just sinking the company, driving it into the ground. And I didn't totally understand why. It seemed like, it was sort of to help with his personal reputation. But it seemed like, man, for whatever reason, this thing that I thought Zenefits was going to be is not going to happen. The company's going to go to zero. That was when I decided, okay, I'm going to start a new thing and start from zero. And I viewed it as very much like I was going to continue what we had started at Zenefits. And, I went from having, $600 million in the bank and 1,500 employees and an existing product and, 75 million in revenue to having 0, 0, and 0 and starting over from square one. But I thought okay, what we're going to do is we're going to rebuild a lot of this and we're going to go down the path that we would have gone down had David not come in and sort of turn the company in a different direction. And that was really to sort of expand from this idea of, employee data, all-in-one HR systems to employee data as this primitive for business software writ large. That the idea was that for the same reason you kind of wanted to have one place to set up an employee or to onboard them across all your different HR systems, across payroll and 401k and medical insurance and dental insurance and so on and so forth. You actually kind of wanted the same thing across the entire company. You wanted that to work for IT, for getting them set up in email and Slack and Dropbox and Salesforce and GitHub. And you wanted it to work you wanted to ship out their computer and their laptop and get them set up in all of these other places as well and sort of broadly manage employee data across the business. And that was sort of the idea behind Rippling.